Okay, thank you, Maya. And thanks to all the folks at Grid 110. Really appreciate having the opportunity to not just share what we built at Penelope, but also help you guys as you're navigating some of the new mandates coming down in California for small businesses. So what I wanted to do today was to all of you guys, I'm right there with you. I'm a small business owner, a startup, started last year after leaving corporate America for a long time, and are dealing with a lot of the similar challenges you probably have in terms of growing your business, hiring people, keeping them happy, trying to comply with all the different regulations that are happening. For today, I wanted to talk specifically about some of the retirement mandates that are coming to California. And the deadline's pretty soon. June 30th is the deadline to actually execute on some of the things that you guys have to do if you have more than 5 employees. But before I get to that, I'll just talk a little bit about myself. I actually grew up in LA. I grew up off the 10 freeway at Claremont, California, the Claremont colleges. My family immigrated here a long time ago, and I went to high school there. I went to school in the Bay Area before moving to New York. I've spent most of my life at big Wall Street firms. I've been doing 401k plans, financial wellness, equity comp plans to Fortune 500 companies. And I've always wanted to sort of try to figure out how do we get small businesses a little bit more involved with this, because particularly with the 401k product, the power of compounded interest and what that can do to change someone's life. And for many Americans, it is the key investment vehicle that people use to retire comfortably with. I've been putting money in it for over 20 years. And because of that, it's given me an opportunity to leave corporate America to do a startup where my comp and all of that is very different because I started early. So I want to share with you guys, we have a very small group. I've been doing a lot of presentations for small businesses in California. Feel free at the end or even ask questions in the chat rooms about your specific needs, because I really want to answer all of it. Okay, so the retirement state mandates. First of all, it's not just California. They're not picking on California, it's everyone. And you're starting to see this wholesale. So 14 states have currently passed legislation saying if you're a small business with 5 employees, 10, up to 25, you must provide a retirement solution for them. I think a big part of it is, especially with COVID, businesses that have survived, government, everyone is very interested in securing a good financial future for most Americans, all the Americans who are working. And one of the scary things is I'm a Gen Xer, and I've been told my entire life that Social Security is running out. And it always seems inconceivable because we're all paying taxes, we're working, how can Social Security run out? If you actually go to the IRS Department of Labor website, it literally says it will run out in 2037. It's in 15 years. So for businesses who have survived COVID, who are growing, more private industry, small businesses are starting. A lot of what you're seeing with these mandates is to encourage Americans, working Americans, to have a good sort of safety net for themselves. So over to the right is all the other states, over to the left. This started 3 years ago, so probably 6 months into COVID. If in California you were a business owner with more than 100 employees, September 30th was a deadline to actually implement a plan. If you had more than 50 employees, it was June 30th of last year. And if you have more than 5 employees, it's what, in about a week? There's a couple days left. So there's still time. You've got time. Don't be afraid. We're going to help you out. And whether it's working with us or working with CalSavers or working with somebody else, it's something that I want to make sure you guys look into. So let me start out with 5 facts. So facts you didn't know. We just talked, if you have more than 5 employees, you've got 1 week to meet the deadline and get started. And little known fact, there are penalties of up to $750 per employee if you miss the deadline. So what you've got is after 3 months of that June 30th, if you've got an eligible employee and you don't have anything, you will get fined $250 by the IRS. Then again, you've got 6 months after to do something, and if you don't, you'll be fined another 500. It seems harsh, but this is just what's happening. It's like healthcare, like other things that we have to do for a lot of our employees. It's just something that we need to sort of consider in our business operations. So the other thing is CalSavers, which is the default retirement vehicle, is actually a Roth IRA account. So IRA stands for individual retirement account. And what a Roth is, it's basically a post-tax option, and it has lower savings power, which means you can put a lot more money into a 401k versus a Roth. Still a good option, but I'll talk about the differences on the page later. With an IRA also, as a business owner, you can't take advantage of all the tax credits that the recent changes in the Secure Act 2 has given. So I'll talk a little bit about that too. And then finally, you're not alone. We're all dealing with it. There are 6 million companies out there trying to navigate all of this. We launched earlier this year and have had a lot of response from California, Illinois, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, companies that are sort of ramping up and struggling and trying to make all of these decisions pretty quickly. So let me talk a little bit about the options. I've segregated it into 3 different. I want to talk about our plan and what we've been doing. Again, I've been in Wall Street for a long time, and if I thought about my parents who started off in small business, I've always thought about what is the plan that is the least obtrusive, that's super simple, that gives both the employer the easy tools and savings to execute and provide for their employees, and for the employees the best options and incentives to actually do it, so they're saving for a healthy retirement. So I'm going to talk about what we built, and then the last part is there are a lot of brokers, broker dealers, insurance providers, and other firms that also provide it. So I want to give you kind of a high top down what your options are. So contribution type just basically means, are you putting money into the plan before it's taxed or after tax with your income? So let's say you've got you make $10,000 a year and you decide to put $1,000 away for retirement. Pre-tax means you're paying taxes on $9,000 of income, and the $1,000 you put away into this investment vehicle, as it grows over time, you pay later. Roth is post-tax, which basically means if you make $10,000 a year, your big income, you pay taxes on all of that, and the $1,000 you pay put into the retirement vehicle over a long period of time, you don't pay taxes. A lot of younger investors choose to do the Roth because the belief is that over 10, 20, 30 years, as the investment grows, you won't have to pay taxes down the road. So it's a good option. What we have is both. With California, it's only one option, and other insurance brokers have both options. Contribution limits, it's up to. With the Roth, you can put up to $6,000 away. For Penelope and other providers, if you can put up to $20,500 as an individual, and if you're over 50, there's a catch-up benefit of putting an extra $6,500. Easy onboarding and setup. This is what, when you're doing a 401k plan, there are a couple things that you have to really set up, which is kind of the plan design. What are the rules of the plan? And then what are the underlying investment setups? For CalSavers and Roth, and for us, it's all designed and set up for employers. So there's automated sort of setup costs, setup processes, very simple to onboard. With the brokers and other insurers, it's a little bit more complicated. We've got to sit with them, go through a screening analysis, a lot of questions involved around how you want to set up the plan. It's much more custom. Simplified investments. Ours, just like the Roth, is very straightforward. For us, we give you a choice of 10 investments, target date funds that are automatically set with large cap, small cap, a set of investments using Vanguard which is a really well-known asset manager, and we have them professionally managed with the lowest basis points for the company. With insurers and brokers, it's much more custom. You may be able to put company stock, other investments, and they go through a whole vetted process for you. Sometimes insurance products are put into it as well. Does the employer match or not? With the Roth, no, and with the other two, yes. We have a lot of details on the next slide. I'll walk through the benefits of actually matching, not just for the employees, because it's free money for them, but for the employer because of what it avoids in auditing and testing down the road. Fees, this is really important. We set ours up as more, if you guys are running startups yourselves, sort of SaaS enterprise-based subscription models. So we don't want to charge more or less or reward more or less because an individual has more money or because there are more individuals or more, it's much larger. What we want to do is charge per use, per employee, and give the best capability possible. With both CalSavers and other insurance brokers, there's an advisor fee. So if you have somebody helping you set up the plan, construct it, as well as selecting the investments, there's 12B1 fees. There are a lot of underlying fees for both the employer in selecting what the fund should be like in the 401k, as well as sometimes hidden fees or fees charged to employees, which can be a percentage of the assets. Discounts, no discounts in CalSavers, none for insurers and brokers, and we are offering a discount for a lot of our startup partners and our affiliate partners through benefits programs. So what we have is $1,200, which is we charge $150 per month to do the administration, the record keeping for the business. We set up your 5,500 tax forms and all the requisite fiduciary responsibilities of a record keeper. It's $125 a month, so we give you 6 months off, which is $750. We also have a setup charge of $500 that we're waiving. So this is a significant reduction of first-time setup costs because, again, we want to reduce the friction for you guys. Tax credits. So with our plan and with some of the insurers and providers, employers can take advantage of the tax credits, particularly when they're matching, depending on the number of employees, and there's a calculation that's available. We help you with a little bit of that. And so you can, it really impacts and sort of helps the bottom line when you know you're being incented to do it. Safety and security. So 401k assets, which are called ERISA assets, are protected from bankruptcy and other sort of tax liens and filings down the road. IRAs are vulnerable to other sort of asset to bankruptcy and other components of that. This is really protected and very secure for all investors. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our solution and the eligibility. Again, Safe Harbor is the official name when a company decides to match. What we do is provide that type of 401k because it reduces a lot of the headaches and testing and potential fees or structures down the road. For our plan, this is who's eligible, all W-2 employees. The employer can choose if you want employees to be eligible at 18 or 21. Employees can choose, do they have to work there at least 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months? 12 months is very popular for a lot of sort of venture-backed or startup companies because in addition to healthcare, equity is one of the components that is key incentive. And most equity has sort of a 4-year vesting, 1-year cliff. So even though you're putting money into the account and matching it, they're not eligible or they can't even participate until they stay with the employer for at least 1 year. Matching, so the employers can match up to 3.5% of them what the employee's contributing. And that's still lower than the average match, which is about 4.5% of all of our clients and sort of the industry average. You can match as low as 2% as well. Vesting. An employer match is 100% vested for 2 years. So this again gives a lot of flexibility for newer businesses, startups, et cetera. So you're matching and you're putting it into the individual's account. They have to stay at least 2 years in order to receive that. If they leave before, that money can be reinvested and you can actually deploy for your next employee who's eligible. And then again, the safe harbor. There are things called ADP, ACP, which basically stands for their annual distribution calculations and annual contribution calculations. And there's a pretty rigorous formula that's put on by the IRS to say, are the baseline employees, our broad-based employees, contributing as much as the highly compensated employees. Highly compensated is defined as those making more than 135. So if they're not, then there's a whole fee structure where the employer actually has to make the highly compensated employees take the money back to make sure that the other employees are putting in, or try to put money in for the non-highly compensated employees. Again, it's a headache. It's a mess. I've seen companies get fined and go through this process. Not fun. Again, the safe harbor gets you out of that mess entirely and is a big benefit to employees. So those are some of the key features. The other thing, we went through this pretty quickly, but we've got a small group and I can answer any question you guys have. Right now, because we've got this set up, I want to offer the setup costs. Here's a promo code. If you go on our website, you can actually put in your information, and if I'm happy to collect all the information afterwards and do individual demos where I can give you high-level product demo, talk to you about some of the investment funds, talk to you about the online portal, which is really fun and sort of easy to do. And that's it.